Hard to say.
We don't know. Well, we're doing our thing.
We're here. You're there. That's what we know.
What's up, FTFers? Welcome back. This man needs no introduction. Y'all know Jason. Something that I wanted to do today, though, we're at Georgia Bushcraft, and I enjoy coming to these events because, you know, I feel like I get recharged. I get to talk to all of my friends and listen to their experiences, what they've done, and it recharges me up.
It's recharging and exhausting all at the same
time.
Yeah.
Right? It's like everything rolled into one ball, right?
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I kind of want to do like a debrief, because this is your first time that you've gone to a disaster scene, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on how that affected you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc. Because I know it's a big deal when you go to your first one.
Yeah. Where to start?
Arriving on the scene. You get geared up to go.
So our neighbors, North Carolina, like just right across the line from me. I live 10 minutes from North Carolina.
Right.
Disaster strikes. We're like talking to my buddies, like, hey, we should probably go see if we can help out. So I throw everything that I can think that might be helpful for this type of situation in the back of my truck, and we just head up with really no more plan.
Whatever, just gonna help.
Yeah, no more plan than that. So we show up we had one point of contact in Black Mountain, and that was a guy with the Cajun Navy, which was awesome. So we met up with them, and they were wheeling and dealing, making stuff happen. They already had a landing zone for helicopters. They had stuff squared away, which was really cool. So in the midst of this chaos, they had already kind of had a plan.
So that was kind of like your CP. That was your command post.
Yep.
And did y'all have any kind of accountability for when you got there so you could keep up with the group?
Yep, 100%. Yep. So yeah, we checked in. We said, hey, this is what we're here to do. We want to help. Put us to work. And immediately we started heading out and doing mostly like just checking to see if people were still alive. Like
now, this is important. What day after the event did you get there? Because as far as the timeline goes, that's what I'm interested in.
So when we got there, I want to say it's like day 2 or 3. I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but let's call it.
That was fresh right after.
Yeah, pretty soon after. I can't quite remember, but the waters had receded.
Yeah.
There was no more flooding. Like it was all, the creeks were back to creeking, doing their thing.
Right.
But the disaster was there. So
the swath was there, and you could see all of that.
Yep. So there was a whole bunch of people that were unaccounted for. There were no roads anywhere that were really in good shape. Everything was a disaster. I mean, like there were roads that were completely gone. It was kind of surreal. Like the pavement, the asphalt just ended, and there would be a cliff down into the creek, into where the creek now is. It didn't used to be. And then 100 yards away, you'd see where the road continues on. And we were like driving through people's yards and stuff to get through. It's like just crazy. It was like the Wild West. Everybody with a side-by-side and a chainsaw was there ready to rock, and like
I have so many questions from all the scenes that I've been on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people will ask, well, where were you? And a lot of times you don't know because GPS is down. Speaking of, did y'all have comms?
So we had radios. So we used radios. We used just our inexpensive Baofeng radios, which were really helpful.
Yeah.
Really helpful, because really there wasn't anything else
until
we started getting Starlink up and running. And once we had Starlink up and running, we had Wi-Fi capability, and we could send text messages, but you couldn't receive them if you were outside of the range of the Starlink, unless you had a mobile unit or something. So yeah, radios were what we were using primarily, and that was just basically to communicate with the convoy that you were with, and like people that were in your close proximity, obviously. So,
tell me about because one thing that is prevalent anytime I would go to a scene is the people in different stages of grief. So you would find people that were fresh on the scene and they're caffeined up and they're ready to go because they want to help the scene, and then you got people that have lost everything, and other people are trying to salvage whatever they can out of it, and they place weird significance on things that matter to them all of a sudden that may not have mattered prior to the event happening. Do you have anything like that happen?
I mean, all kinds, the whole spectrum, I guess. So everything from people that are just like wore slap out, and they were just like, you were talking to them and they were talking to you.
1,000 yards there.
But yeah, it was just like
right
this.
Through you.
Yeah, they were just, you could tell that they were just wiped out, you know, just from just emotional, physical, like stress, just wore out. A lot of the volunteers, local volunteers, people that lived there but were still working, trying to solve problems, were just overworked. And there was a shortage. So what? There was no shortage of volunteers and supplies.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
Supplies and volunteers were everywhere. The
But
shortage,
as far as them being organized,
the shortage was management and leadership.
Right.
Were
there sign-in stations? Because everywhere that I went, I mean, I was in a professional capacity to do it, and we always had sign-up booths where people could come and handle logistics type stuff.
Yep. So throughout this thing, it evolved significantly. So when we first showed up, we showed up with the Cajun Navy guys, and they were fairly squared away, and they basically had a whiteboard.
Yeah.
And people would come in needing something, or people would come in wanting to volunteer, and they would kind of just jot this stuff out. They'd be writing addresses down and names of people that we need to go find and look for. This person needs insulin, and they're stuck on top of this mountain, and there's no roads to them. Like that happened quite a bit. Like that, stuff like that happened quite a bit. But problem with that is you get information coming in, and oftentimes what you do is you'd spend hours getting out to this place, and only to realize that the insulin had already been delivered by helicopter or whatever, or that person had been evacuated and they're not even there anymore. And like, so just a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of wasted time and effort when it's not anyone's fault, really. It was just chaos, man.
It's the way it is. Yeah. Did y'all get to witness any of the clearing of the homes and them marking the doors and different agencies going in at different times?
Yep, saw that in Black Mountain for sure. Black Mountain was hit really hard.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Like, it's bad. So yeah, a lot of that was going on. The cars flipped over. Cars just like tin cans. Just take an aluminum can, crush it up, stomp on it, you know, dig it in the dirt.
See how powerful
that's what a car looked like. That's what a truck like mine looked like.
Right.
Like insane. Insane the power of the water that went through these places. But
how did that affect you too? Because when you're doing that, you're also you're smelling things that you've never smelled before. You're seeing things that you've never seen before. Because when you see it on a screen, it's a lot different than when you're up close to it. And that stuff can really impact you emotionally because you have this drive, a passion to help those people. And I know how I felt. I always felt like I would give them anything that I had on me at the time just to help them out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we went to one place, town of Bat Cave was blocked off pretty much completely. Huge mudslide, and the mud smelled like poo.
Yep.
Like gross, super gross. And a buddy of mine like slipped, fell, splashed it, and it went like.
Oh no,
like
that's terrible
my entire body, and it smelled like poop. Oh, it was gross. But,
there were certain things, like while you were up there, I kept telling myself, like, do not bother him, because I know how it is when you're on scene and you're focused and you're doing stuff and all. But like, I was worried about the things that maybe hadn't had training on, like scene contamination, if there was some kind of criminal thing that was going on, possibility of the contamination from a hazmat aspect, which is on a lot of people's minds. They probably have questions because it's not just the mud and all the debris and everything else, it's what's in the air too. Like
because after that dries out, the dust, all that nastiness dries out, and then the trucks drive by and the dust goes in the air and you're breathing that crap in.
All the worst things that you can think of.
I mean, it's unpreventable to some degree, you know, if you're just there. Like, it is what it is. But and that's just a sacrifice that I was willing to make. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was to some degree aware of it. I didn't care.
Were there any members on professional teams going around and doing any safety briefs with various?
No, never. No, I didn't experience any of that.
Oh, that's a shame.
It was all 100% where I was. 100% volunteers, local people, Cajun Navy people. Who else did we work with? The Free Burma Rangers were there. The Christian Rangers were there. Just these nonprofit organizations, and then the U.S. Men's Academy. That's my nonprofit. Right. So we, just a bunch of organizations like that that's had some sort of plan, and cohesiveness, and then just a whole lot of just people like, hey, I'm here
what
and
can I do?
Want to do things to help, which was cool.
Go. Yeah.
Like really cool. I mean, there was no shortage of that.
I think further into it, once things start to kind of materialize, if you will, as far as plans, and you know, your group has talked to this group or whatever, and hey, I need that medicine to go there, or I need these water bottles transferred to here, I need medical supplies to wherever. There's this just amazing feeling that comes from the community, and being able to fix something, and it's a different like world when you're there. Like you feel like this is the way people should be all the time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it takes a disaster
for it to happen,
to bring people together. Yeah.
So you went up there, then you came home.
I went up for like 3 days, then came home.
Right.
And,
we were able to talk to Grail, and thank God they came to and ended up giving us what, 60 bottles that Jason could take up there to distribute up there. How did that feel, being able to bring something like that, a resource to people that you knew would help them out?
So excellent.
Not just the people, but the responders.
That's primarily who I've been giving the Grails to, is the first responders, the search and rescue guys, the volunteers that are getting out there and doing the things and the stuff. The people that were affected by it, not so much, because it's just like what they need is to get their well back up and running. And if you put like, let's say we put 60 Grails on the shelf in the donation center, like people would look at it and be like, it's a water bottle.
It's a water bottle.
I don't know what I do with
don't
that.
Even know how to use it.
So yeah, I can't just do that. So I wanted to make sure that we effectively got those to people that I could personally say, hey, this is what it is. This is how you use it. This is how you use it. Here you go. And everyone I gave it to was like, oh man, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. Same thing with like, we were delivering like solar generators and stuff. What else did we bring
Yeah, you were
there?
telling me about the resistance of that too earlier. Like, I'd like you to tell the audience about that, because a lot of times when you go on scene, people don't want your help. Yeah. You know, and they'll actually refute it, or they'll spit at you, they'll slap you, they'll push you, cuss at you, whatever.
Yeah, so we worked with this, we were delivering some generators and fuel, a lot of fuel, like man, a lot, like 100 gallons of gasoline. So we on a flatbed truck, to this little town, and this lady was there, and she was quite abrasive and confrontational, and I don't blame her at all, because I think she's just overwhelmed and worried and just stressed, but she was basically like mad at us for, we were trying to give her a generator, and we're like, hey, this is a generator, we can literally deliver it to where it needs to go, and we can install it, and we can do the things. And she was like, she was not having it. She didn't trust us, didn't know who we were.
And you can't explain those things to people
either.
So
it was weird and a little bit like, you know.
A lot of people can't get to a point where they can accept the help either.
Yeah, and that's fine. So we just like left the generator sitting there. I was like, hey, here you go. All right,
here it is.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Yeah, sorry. And we just moved on. So that's the best we could do with that situation.
So you went back again, and I think that's important too, because you're compelled to. Like, you go up there, you see what people are going through, it affects you, and when you come home, like, you're thinking more and more about what you've seen and how much more you can give, or how much more you can do. Yeah, which caused you to go back again as well.
Yeah. I mean, I had to come home. I've got kids and stuff like that. So I came home a couple days, few days, whatever it was, and made another trip back up, and things evolved as time went on. When I went back up there, it was still the Wild West. The second time I showed up to Burnsville, North Carolina, to a Rose's parking lot, and that place was out of control. Like, it was just chaos.
That's the thing, is you can't explain it either unless you've been on one of those scenes, what that truly means.
Just crazy cars, trucks everywhere, side by sides, like supplies getting dumped off here and there. There was no sanitation. There was none. No sanitation. Then finally one porta potty showed up for like 1,000 people. I'm exaggerating to some degree, but hundreds of people.
The ratio.
Dude, I'm like, where's this? It got gross, and it's like, it was just chaos. So literally, funny story, like we showed up and we were like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do here. So we just started we just took charge, and we started making decisions and started doing stuff. So literally what we did, we commandeered a side of a guy's truck. We don't even know whose truck it was. And we taped cardboard up to the side of this guy's truck.
Like a command center?
Yep. And as soon as we did that, and we put name tags on, And as soon as we did that, people started coming.
Coming to you.
Yeah, they started coming and they said like, hey, what can we do to help?
Finally, somebody's got
and I was
something
like,
going.
I was like, who are you? What do you do? And I was like writing notes down and like, and then.
Oh, that's a great point right there. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one really good way. I've said it in video before, to find out what somebody's specialty is.
Yep.
Like, what's your name and what do you do?
What do you do? What do you got? And then
now you have a resource.
And then we would get a list. We got a list of requests, to-dos, like, you know, this person, Sally Joe, lives at approximately this address. Like, we didn't really know, but somewhere around here. No one's seen from her, heard from her. Like, I need you, and you to go find this person. And as soon as you find this person, awesome. Or if you don't find this person, either way, come back and tell me. Come to me, find me, and tell me so I can check it off the list or make other additional notes or
that's good, man.
Whatever. So that's what we did there for 2 or 3 days. It was exhausting. Like, yeah, I didn't leave this stupid parking lot like for like 3 days. We ended up joining up with another group, the Christian Rangers. They were great. They were pretty organized, but they were doing the same things. They just had a whiteboard instead of cardboard taped to the side of a truck. So
I can imagine. There's so many things too. Like, I wish I could have gone with you, because like there's like logistic stuff that I could have helped out with.
Sure.
Like, you know, I'm sitting here listening to you, thinking about it, like, you know, did you have a map? Did you have time limits on people? Because people have to take a break. You don't realize you're getting exhausted and what it does to you mentally. Yeah. You know, because most of the time I'd go out on an 8-hour mission, and then by law they have to cut me out of that mission.
Gotcha. No, we didn't have any of that.
The recharge time is 15 minutes. That means I can go back on another 8-hour mission. Oh, really? Right. So a lot of times,
15 minutes.
After you've been up for 3 days of just sleeping wherever, like a lot of people, they lean up against a truck and they fall asleep for 15, 20 minutes, and then they're back. You know, and it's like, I'm ready to go again. Yep. You know, did you eat? Are you hydrated?
All that stuff.
Those things you
just forget to do it. Yeah, you just go the whole day and didn't eat anything.
It's really, you gotta, and that's why I'm always saying, don't get monkey butt. Like, you gotta take care of yourself, or you're gonna be part of the problem rather than, you know, part of the solution.
That's the thing I was harping on so much, is just trying to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Like, I'm not going in there to take people's supplies and to feed myself. Like, I want to be completely self-reliant and make sure that I don't have breakdowns and all that stuff if we're going out. Because we were going to some places that, like, the roads didn't exist. I mean, there was...
I know.
There was...
People have no idea what that's like.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Which, so the e-bike thing, I want to touch on it, because back then when I was doing that, like, an e-bike would have been an awesome thing to have had, because you would have had mobility, whereas vehicles
zip around.
don't.
So... I thought about that. I thought, because I got motorcycles and stuff like that. I've got dirt bikes and all that kind of stuff. I thought about bringing those up there, but what was really helpful was just really an empty truck. Like, having an empty truck.
Like I was talking about, keeping your seats open so you can transport people.
Yeah, because
stow stuff.
Because we were just throwing supplies and stuff and things. We were going out to communities that didn't have anything, and I hauled hundreds of gallons of fuel, and just having an empty truck, like a mule, that I could just pile crap in, people in, and get to certain destinations was really, really handy. But having like a more mobile unit, like a bike or ATV and stuff like that, was pretty handy in some situations.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, at a command post or an accountability post, there's a lot of ground. A lot of people don't realize how many volunteers show up to those kind of things, and you've got to somehow corral them. And like you said, this stuff's deposited here, that stuff's deposited there. Where do I go to the bathroom? I got to go now. You can take off and go to that spot wherever it is that you said, okay, this is the spot or whatever. But crazy. People don't think about those kind of things in that kind of scenario. They don't think about the water contamination, the air contamination, etc. It's a big deal. But I'm proud of you
well, thanks,
for what you did, man, for real.
I didn't do hardly anything. I was just there.
Every little bit helps, though.
I know. It doesn't feel like you make much of a dent. It's like, man, people's lives got erased. Like,
that's the heavy stuff.
That sucks. Like,
seeing that, because it's really like, it really touches you. And that's why you keep going back. And I don't want to say it's like survivor's guilt or whatever, but man, it's an emotional experience. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do that with me, because I know how it changed my life. You know, and that's really what caused me to start Fuel the Fires, is that passion that you get from that. Like, and it's an overwhelming sense of wanting to help people before the event
before
happens.
Yeah, be prepared before it happens.
Before it happens.
The crazy thing about this event specifically is some people, prepared or not, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Not
just prepared with things.
That's what I was getting at. What mattered was their preparations in their community, their family, their friends, their emotional capabilities, how strong you are spiritually. Like, that's what mattered.
Yes.
Like all your preps, your guns and ammo, and all your stack of beans.
The confidence that we talk about and the ability to solve problems and critical thinking and
that's
being assertive and all of those things matter.
Yeah.
So, you know, those of you that are watching, thanks for watching the video with us. You know, get in the comment section, tell us about your experiences at disaster scenes. If you're honey smack digging the video, like, share, subscribe, and until next time, just keep fueling those fires.